Hey guys, welcome back. Well, welcome back. I don't know. It's the first one. Oh man, welcome to Betterby Presents. I think that's what I'm going to call this. Betterby Presents. This is the first one. We're in January. Um, January 7th. I'm doing this on a Saturday. I think I might continue doing them on Saturdays. I don't know. I don't really know. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm getting tired of not doing things. Yeah. Doing things. A couple things to talk about. Oh man, V. Some of you may or may not know. V is my fiance, love of my life. V. Gonna talk about V. She got into an interesting altercation with the taxi driver the other night. That was funny. And I got my trip to Thailand coming up. I want to talk about that and my new name and what it felt like to start working on Ben Betterby, which is what I've been doing. So I'll start there. Just so some people know, a lot of people have been asking, why did you change your name to Ben Betterby? And just to answer that, because my old name, when you Googled it, there were about 8 other people with the same name who were coming up well before I did. I was on the 8th O of Google. So I needed to change it. And I got a new one, Ben Betterby, which I really like. Yeah, it's kind of weird too. It was embarrassing because I had to send all these people like invites to like my page, Ben Betterby, and invites to like email me and all that stuff. And it was kind of man, it was really embarrassing because it's all these people back home, and they've got like they got like cars and houses and careers and kids and wives and families. And I'm like, hey, can you like my new page? I don't- Oh man. All right. So I had my first show this week of the new year, the Ben Betterby Presents Vietnam Volume 1. They went really well. I had about 28 people there. It was good. It was good. I got some good advice from Phil. He came down. He he suggested I need to move the stage. That was great advice. And I need to work more on the lighting. I forgot about the lighting. I got into this big fight. It's raining now. I don't know if you can hear that. I got into this big fight with V right before the show. She was so helpful and really supportive and kind. And I was kind of frozen in fear before the show. I got a lot of help from V before the show. We can do an edit there. I think I accidentally hit the mic. You know what? I don't care. If you just heard a really loud bump, deal with it. I'm getting used to it. This is a new mic. I'm testing out a new mic. I'm gonna see how this sounds. If it doesn't sound very good, it'll sound better next time. I don't know. Deal with it. What am I talking about? Oh yeah. So Phil, I did the show. Everything was good. It was okay. It was the first one. It's the dry run, practice run, the rough draft of the Ben Betterby show. No, the Ben Betterby Presents Vietnam Volume 1. It went well. People came. They're really supportive. That meant a lot to me. It really touched me that they came out and supported me in that. Because, it's not that awesome to go see a show when, it's first night. It was like the rehearsal. It was dress rehearsal for the show, and people came down, and it meant a lot to me. To everyone who came, thank you for coming. Phil gave me the good advice about moving the stage and the lighting. It went okay. V really helped me out with that. And it was funny because I was frozen in fear. Like an hour before the show was going to start, I was just stuck. Like there were all these things I needed to do. I guess because there were so many things I needed to do, I just didn't do any of them. I was just laying there. I was literally just laying in bed, like pretending to be visualizing the show, but really just trapped in fear. And V came in. She's like, "What are you doing? You have to do blah 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 blah." And I just was like, "Leave me alone, leave me alone." And then she was like, "Fine." And then she left. And then like 15 minutes before we had to leave for the show, I just freaked out and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm so fat!" I was like trying on all all my shirts, trying to find a shirt that I didn't look fat in. And she's like, "Well, okay, now here is her fault. Instead of being like, no, no, sweetie, you're not fat." Whoa, there's a big storm out there. Can you hear that? I thought we were out of the rainy season. Apparently, it's still here. So I'll try to edit that out. So she, instead of saying, "No, sweetie, you're not fat," which is what, you're supposed to say when your partner's like, "Oh my God, I'm a fat pig." I was like just crumpled up in the corner, like, "None of my clothes fit. I'm a fat, fat pig." And then she, oh, V. Her instinct in that situation is not to say, "Sweetie, you look fine. Don't worry." It's to go, "Well, you shouldn't have eaten all that candy last week. This is what you get. Yeah, you are fat." Oh, man. Oh, man. And then I was like, "Well, I have my show. Don't be mean to me." And she's like, "Oh, your little show." And I was like, "Oh." She's just poking me. She's like, I don't know. I think on some level, whenever I get stressed out, I have to, really need to start. I don't know, what do you want to call it? Being an adult. I have to be real careful because V is quite sensitive, and so when I get stressed out, even though I'm not bothering her or directing any of that energy at her, it scares her, and I think that goes back to her family because I think someone in her family used to take their emotions out on the other people in the family, So I think that triggers something inside of her. I think it scares her, and she's worried that I am going to take it out on her, and then she kind of like goes on the offensive to prevent that. I don't really know, but the show went okay, and we made up, so it's okay. And I'm gonna work on controlling myself when I get stressed out about stuff like that. There are very few things I mean, like a comedy show, like a new show, I get stressed out about. But I got to be careful and I got to control my emotions. Not that I want to have kids, but I mean, laying there like, "Oh my God, I'm so fat." That would not have been that would not have been good to do in front of a child. So yeah, gonna work on that. So and it is a funny because this is how hot tempered V is. I've never seen her lose her stuff like this. We saw this movie Sing, which was about a koala that ran a theater into the ground. I guess I don't really know. She really loved it. She's went and saw it with her sister, and then she was like, "You gotta come, you gotta come." So she made me go see it. I'm drinking coffee, and she made me go see it. Oh, and we're sitting in the theater. I'm just like, this movie's okay. It's okay. But to her, it was like the best movie she's ever seen. And I guess because she's Vietnamese, so she hasn't seen like this. It was a kind of a cliche movie. And also she's kind of she's a girl. So she really liked the singing and the dancing. It's like a cartoon musical. I don't know. It was cute. So after the movie, no, okay, there was a moment though in the movie where I almost had like an emotional connection. I haven't cried in a while, and I feel that like you need to cry like at least once a year. But when younger people and female listeners, they may not understand this. The older you get as a man, like the harder it is to cry. Like my eyes, you get to this point because I'm 33. You get to this point where your eyes are just full and heavy. And you feel like, "Oh man, I need to cry," but you can't because I don't know. It's like long-term exposure to testosterone or something. You just can't cry. I mean, back when I would drink, what I would do is I'd just get a hotel. If I felt like I needed to cry, like if it had been 6 months or a year or whatever, I would get a hotel room and a bottle of gin and download an Adele album and listen to that and cry. And the next day, man, after a whole night of like, drinking and crying alone in a hotel room, the next day I would feel amazing, like 10 kilos lighter. But I can't do that anymore because I don't drink. So it's hard for me to cry. And there was a moment in this little stupid cartoon movie where I was like, my eyes started tearing up. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm about to cry." And it was an interesting experience because it's a dark room. It's a theater. I felt safe, so I could cry. Right. But right when I was about to cry, I don't know, like V like felt the need. She didn't know I was about to cry because she's sitting next to me, but something happened that she was like, "Yay!" and she knew was happening, and it was like one of her favorite moments in the film. So she went, "Woo! Yeah!" like that, like clapping real loud in the theater, and no one else was cheering or clapping or loud. I don't know. Maybe she got uncomfortable by the crying scene, or I don't know. But it took me out of the moment, and I was like, because it couldn't happen then. I couldn't cry anymore. So we're on the motorbike ride home, and I told her that I was like, "Look, maybe don't be loud in movies, because like there was a moment where I was about to emotionally connect with the film, and I was about to cry, and then you kind of took me out of that, and I was a little upset. You took me out of that moment. Now I know you didn't mean to. You were really excited, but maybe next time be a little quieter when you have moments." Well, she was very quiet after that on the back of the bike. Then about 2 minutes later, coincidentally, we're driving down the road. It's 2-lane road or 4-lane, but going both ways. Hi-oh. And there's this taxi that tries to do a U-turn in the road, but there's not enough road for it to do a U-turn, so it's coming at us. And it actually ended up nicking the back of the bike. Now V's on the back of the bike, so I was like, "Oh God," because I had to we were stuck in traffic. I couldn't stop. I had to keep going because it was an odd situation. This taxi just tried to U-turn but didn't have enough room. We went up against the curb. It still like clipped the back of the bike, but not too bad. Like it wasn't going fast and we weren't going fast. It just kind of happened. But then I remembered V was in the back, and then she goes, "Stop the bike." And I got really worried. My stomach dropped a little because I got worried that like her leg was messed up or something. Like maybe like it was a small bump against the bike, but maybe that's because like her body like buffered the collision, and I got really worried. So I stopped the bike and I turned around and "Are you okay?" And she was already off the bike, and she had run up to the taxi, which at this point the taxi had backed up, and it now had the room to do the full U-turn. But then the driver, when I saw him because his head was turned back over his shoulder doing the U-turn, and then he turns around and he sees V just standing there right in front of his bike or his taxi, and he just slams on the brakes, and then he tries to go around her, and she just moved 2 meters to the left, and then just like crossed her arms, cocked her hip back, and was just like, I mean, I've never seen her this gangsta. It was crazy. So then he stops the bike, and then she gives him the finger. She just stands there calmly in the middle of traffic. There are hundreds of motorbikes and cars around us. Everybody's stopped going, "Oh my God." And she just is quietly standing there with his high beams on her. It's at night. With her middle finger raised up, just giving him the finger. And the guy, he's stunned. He didn't think this would happen. And I think for a second, he was so oblivious to what he did being wrong that he probably didn't even realize what was going on. Like, I don't think he connected the dots. And then he was just shocked. And then I think somewhere along the lines, he's like, "Oh, she's angry about what I did." And then when that kicked in, he immediately shifted to, and he just started like shaking he put his palms out and started shaking his body side to side and giving her like the "what are you gonna do about it" face. And then that's when V just lost it and started screaming and pointing at him. And then she went around the side of the taxi at this point, and he was just like giving her, "Oh, little baby." And then I think he thought his taxi door was locked because he just didn't even bother to lock it as she came around, and he was just like watching her going, shaking back and forth. And then she just like opened up his door, and he goes, "Ah!" I can't. I don't know if he thought like there's no way that she's gonna try to open my door, or he just assumed it was locked, or like he thought it was. I don't know. And he just goes, "Ah!" And then he tries to fight her, but she's already like got the whole door open, and she's already got her body like behind the door. And so he's like trying to like close it, but he can't get the momentum, so it's just like not closing. And then he's like he's in his seatbelt, and I guess he's trying to take his seatbelt off to like get out of the taxi. Now at this point, I'm like, "Oh, is he gonna hit her?" Because I'm like I'm on the bike in front of the taxi still, like in the middle of the road, and everybody's watching. And I'm like, "Oh God, if he hits her, then I gotta get involved here." So for a second there, I was pretty freaked out. And then she just grabs him by the front of his shirt, like a handful, a shirt. and just pulls him close to her. And she says, and she's just looking at him, right? And then at that point, it hit him. Like it hit, like I think when she touched his body, he realized that he used his car hit our motorbike, And I think that touch, when she grabbed him, he was like, oh, and he immediately just goes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And he just started screaming, I'm sorry. And I mean, in Vietnamese, this is a Vietnamese taxi driver. and she just like calmly held him there for a second, for like 3 or 4 I'm sorries. And then she just kind of looked at him again, and she looked him in the eyes. She goes, are you going to do that again? And he goes, no. And he put his head down. And then she like kind of shook him a little bit, and his head popped up, and she goes, don't forget. Then she like slowly walked away and like towards the front of the taxi. And then and she got on the back of the bike, and she goes, and then she turned on the back of the bike. She turned, and she used her whole arm and just like slammed on the hood of his taxi loud, like boom. And then she turned around, and then she just turned to me and went, drive. And I mean, like, and I drove. There was like I was an audience of 100 people watching this, and I just drove. And then it was quiet the whole way home. And I honestly believe that all of that. Okay, let's go back here a second, because this to me is a beautiful moment in my life. I had just reprimanded her, not reprimanded, in her head reprimanded. I just like, hey, next time. I tried to be calm. I was like, because she's not very good with feedback sometimes when she does something wrong. I was like, hey, like maybe next time don't be so loud when you have a moment, because maybe you might be taking someone else out of theirs, And I think that she knew she was wrong. And when you're wrong, you kind of get angry, So she was stewing about that. And then this taxi guy came, and she's like, ooh, an outlet. Now, the funny part of this is, if the taxi driver, if I can just imagine before we come across him, or before he comes across us, he's in the cab, and the people in the back are like, hey, do a Yui. And he's like, no, guys, I can't. And they're like, come on, do it. Just do it. And he's like, no, guys, it's a Yui. I can't do it. And they're like, come on, do it. What's going to happen? And then he's like, fine. And so he does it. And then that happens. And I can't help but feel like the motorbike ride home is those 2 people in the back who are like, just do it. Just having to sit there and be like, ugh. I'm sure he got a big tip from them. Oh, man. I can't. Shocking behavior from V. But everything's okay. Nobody got hurt. She did tell me, though, it was funny. The next day, we kind of laughed about it over lunch, and she was telling me that how like all of that just sort of seemed to happen, and she didn't mean for any of it to happen. Like, she said she stopped, and she just expected him to say I'm sorry, but then he was like, ugh, and she's like, oh, and then she said she couldn't just walk away at that point, so she went around to yell at him at his door, and then he kept going, ugh, and so finally she just like opened his door, but she had no idea that the door, she expected the door to be locked. She was just like, I'll just try to open his door, and then he'll stop. But at that point, like, she said the door opened. And she's like, I don't know what to do next. And then she goes, she got scared when he started to undo her seatbelt, because she thought he was gonna like, come after her or something. So she just grabbed him to keep him in the seat so he couldn't get out. And then she didn't know what to do next. And then he started saying, I'm sorry. And then she's like, So from her side of the story is really funny too, because she's this tiny, like 50 kilo. Like, if you don't know V, she's 55 kilos. She'll get angry at me for saying that. I think she's actually 56. Whatever. She's 56 kilos, and so this taxi driver's like a big guy. Like, oh man. Speaking of kilos, I'm gonna check in with you guys once a week here for this year. That's my New Year's resolution, is to do these podcasts once a week. I don't know how long they're going to be. I got a whole bunch of tapes recorded with some other people that I'll do, like when I have a vacation, or I'm out of town, or I'm too busy to do the podcast. I will, I'll upload one of those. I got a bunch of chats with Patrick. Him and I are not talking right now, but we had a big fight. Anyway. All of our fights in just objectively are silly, but we have them and they're real. So I'm not talking to him. My weight, 97 kilos. which I am happy about, because if those of you who've been following me on this weight loss journey over the last, I would say almost 2 years now, I've gone from 116 kilos down to 90, let's say 97. I don't know. I think I was like 96.5, but then I pooped like after I weighed. So I don't know, but I had some water. I don't really know. All right, I'm gonna say 97. Let's say 97 kilos. That's why I'm this week one of 2017. My goal for the year is 85. So I'm got to lose 12 kilos. I'm going to Thailand soon. I'm really excited about that. I'm leaving. I'm going to be in Thailand for 3 weeks. I'll be on an island, Koh Phi Phi. I can't remember how it's pronounced. That's where I went last year, where I lost a lot of weight. I left Vietnam a year and a half ago. I was 116 kilos, and when I came back, I was 92. And I've gained some weight since then, but I've gained a lot more muscle. So, I'm not sure. My body fat's a lot lower. I actually have I'm at 17 or 18. I got to check my numbers. Let's say 18% body fat, which is really good because when I left Vietnam 2 years ago, it was 30%. So I almost cut my body fat. No, it was 33 when I looked at the numbers. Yeah, it was 33% body fat 2 years ago. 33. That's like really, some of you out there know how unhealthy that is. I was really fat and really unhealthy, and I'm doing better now. Still, my goal is 10%. My goal is 10%. I did the numbers. If I get to 85, that hits my number of 10%. I'll have to check again. I'm not really sure. But I'm doing better. I can do 10 pull-ups now. And yesterday I did 10 pull-ups, 10 dips, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 body weight squats, and I ran 5 kilometers. And I'm doing that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It takes me about 2 hours to do that whole workout. I tried to work out like a little every day, but I found that made me like tired and kind of down. And so I've stumbled across this Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I don't know why, but that works. Like the Saturday and Sunday, I kind of rest, and then I have more energy throughout the week when I work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have found. I tried to do like a 6-day-a-week thing, and it just sort of like I didn't have any energy to move around. And so now I kind of have energy. So I feel good with the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'll keep checking in with that. Let's see what else we got. I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to talk about. Oh, the trip to Thailand. You guys probably want specifics. So for those 3 weeks, I'll upload one of the episodes I've recorded with Patrick. So we won't have because my goal is to do a Betterby Presents every week. Emails. So please send emails. I've got a few emails so far. Anything you want me to, any questions you have or comments? God, a lot of hate mail. Anyway, I see, Ben at benbetterby.com. Check out my new website, benbetterby.com, BETTERBY, benbetterby.com. Really excited about that. Got some visitors to the site. Super excited about that. Hope to get more with these podcasts that I'll be putting up every week. And I'm going to do a blog. I don't know. Yeah, this is weird because I'm entering an interesting phase. This is technically phase 3. Oh, I just hit the mic again. This is technically phase 3. Some of you may or may not be familiar with my journey, but I'm really taking this serious. This is my dream. And you know what? It's okay. It's okay to follow your dreams. I think so. I don't have any kids. Now, if I had a kid, this would not be okay. If I had any little Ben Betterbys running around, this would be completely unacceptable. But I don't have any kids, and I've worked really hard to not have any kids, and I'm 33, and you know what? I don't think I'm gonna have any, and I might as well follow my dream. Like, what's my reason for not following my dream? So we're doing the dream. I got Twitter. Oh man, I set up Instagram. Oh, some of you guys might be older like me, and you're not familiar with the Instagram. Oh my God. I was on Instagram for 2 hours. And I had no idea. I was like, "Oh, I gotta set up an Instagram account for Ben Betterby." So I set up my Ben Betterby Instagram. Dude, it is just pictures of people have like people who have more money than you, who are better looking than you, having a better time than you. That's all it is. That's all it is for like 2 hours. It's just picture, picture, picture. It's like Twitter, but it's pictures. So, when you're scrolling through there, your feed, it's just pictures of people wearing fashionable clothes, eating fancy food, looking beautiful with other young, beautiful people. And I was like, I was shocked at what this was. And I thought, this can't be it. And that's what it was. That's what it was. That's what it is. And I told V, and she goes, yeah, like that's what it is. I like it. So I think there's an empathy thing there. Like maybe I don't have the ability to put myself in those. I think when she goes through it, she's putting herself in that photo. Like for her, that's pleasurable. For me, I'm looking at it going, oh, I don't have that. So maybe that's an unhealthy thing for me. Like maybe I should be able to put myself in that photo and enjoy that moment where the person is eating toasted salmon avocado biscotti on a beach with a six pack. I don't know. So Thailand, I'm going to go to the island. I might save this for next week because I'm already up to 26 minutes here, which is all I really want to. I think that when I do the other ones with other people, I think it'll be longer. Yeah, I got some tapes that are like an hour. I know 40 minutes. 40 minutes. That's max. Who wants to listen to anything more than 40 minutes? What else was? I'll talk about the. I'll talk about the Thailand thing. So I'm getting excited. Some of you may or may not know. What I did is I went there 2 years ago. I went to Muay Thai camp, which is actually like fat camp. Yeah, I'm gonna tell this story. I'm gonna do it. So, I'm not gonna tell the whole story. Some of you might know it. But I left there. I went to Thailand, and I joined a Muay Thai camp, and it was great because you could really divide up the people there into categories. You had, I would say, okay, we'll start with the fatties. So it's not like me, it's like fat people, and there weren't that many of them. I would say that maybe it was like 25% fat people, and half those were women and half were men, and all ages. The camp, there were like 40-year-olds there. There were 18-year-olds. There's one little 19. I think she's not the youngest one. There was this little 18-year-old girl from like Brighton, from the UK, from England, and she was just out of her element in every, but just keeping it together. She was great. She was an inspiration to everybody. So you go there. So let's see, about 25% are fat people, evenly distributed, men and women. And then another 25% are like recovering drug addicts, which I'm guessing this is some sort of like low cost rehab for them, which just did not work. Oh man. Like the number of these like people that would just come to the camp. I'm guessing family had paid for it. I don't really know. And they're obviously like recovering drug addicts who are not recovering. Like because it's Thailand, and where there is a will, there is a way. So it wasn't difficult to get whatever it is you wanted, right? Like there were people in town that were, made their living off of, helping these recovering drug addicts. And I kind of felt bad for them because I think on some level they're like, I'll go there, it'll be good for me. But it's a stressful situation because there's 6-hour workouts. If you don't know, okay, so you wake up, the first workout, you get there at 7, and then you do a 30-minute jog or walk, depending on how healthy you are, around the camp. So if you do the walk, it takes you like 30 minutes. If you do the jog, you do the like once around if you're not in good shape, the walk or slow jog. And then if you're in good shape, they do like 4 laps, this big distance. I don't know how long it is. Maybe it's 5K actually. Yeah, that's what it was. This 5K jog in 30 minutes. Wow, I can now do that because I remember. Whoa, because that's what I did yesterday. I did 5K in 30 minutes. So that means anyway. So you do that, and then that's from 7 to 7:30. Now, Then we all go back and we stretch for like 15 minutes. There's 15 minutes of stretching. Everybody lines up on the mats. And then in the middle of the Muay Thai camp, I guess this is the gym, which is like underneath it's like a giant warehouse with no walls, like with a big tin roof on top. Uh, because it's hot. It's so hot. You're in the jungle. I was in the jungles in Thailand, in the mountains and jungles of Thailand. It's hot. So then you stretch for 15 minutes, and then you do I think we did 15 minutes of jump rope. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Anyway, so now it's 8. I guess it's 8 o'clock, and then we do the 2 hours of Muay Thai, and that's 1 hour on the bags, and then 1 hour in the or no, 45 minutes on the bags, 45 minutes in the ring. And then it's 30 minutes of form. So at the very end, we practice every day, every workout, there's like a new thing. So you might practice this kick or this punch or that punch. And we all get together and practice. So the last 30 minutes is kind of a cool down. Then we stretch and then you go home. So it's like a 3-hour workout from like 7 to 10. And then you're supposed to just run home and go to sleep. And then we come back because it's hot. It's really hot. It's Thailand. And then you come back in the afternoon from, I think it starts at 2, and you do the whole thing from 2 to 5. And then 5:30 rolls. And then you're supposed to go home and go to sleep. But not what happens. Everybody, actually, at this point, most of the people there then go out drinking. And it's kind of sad because then what happens is you can't work out 6 hours a day and drink all night and then work out 6 hours a day. So they're like, oh, I'll just miss the morning, but I'll make it up, whatever. I don't know. 6 days a week. You get Sundays off. But they just start missing more and more of these exercises. And then pretty soon, next thing you know, they're staying in the Muay Thai camp, but they haven't worked out in like a week or two, and then they just don't go back. They might go back like once and work out, and then they go back to their room. And then people get kind of weird. They start sleeping all day, and then they're drinking all night. And some people. Now that's the recovering guys and girls. Let's see the other. Let's say it's 50% are left. Who's that? Oh, okay. Then 25% of that is people on a journey. You get these eat, pray, love kind of people, I guess is what I'll call them. And that's equally men and women. So you get the guys who are there to kind of experience being a man, and you get the girls that are there to kind of. Well, this is where it gets. I don't want to offend anyone. Oh, but I might accidentally. All right, I'm gonna do it. I don't want to offend anyone out there. I don't know if I should. Okay. I'm getting old and I don't know what's offensive anymore. So if this is offensive, email me and let me know. Teach me a lesson, and I won't be offensive in the future. I don't think it is, but now I'm probably making it offensive because I'm scared about it being offensive. I don't really know. There are a lot of transgendered people there. So women becoming men, I think is what it's called. I don't know. And that's the way that they are experiencing that transition. So they're in Thailand, they're doing the surgeries, and then they go in between surgeries, they go to the Muay Thai camp, and they try to be very manly. And it's it's an odd thing for me to think about, because the last thing, it made me feel like I'm not a man. It made me, I'm not saying that they were intentionally trying to be sexist, these post-op transgendered people. But, they kept sort of implying that they were doing this to be more manly, and I was doing it just to kind of lose weight. And I didn't like the fighting, and it kind of made me feel like not a man. That's all I'm going to say about that. I didn't like the fighting, but I really enjoyed the workouts and the atmosphere of people just trying to make something out of nothing. And then, okay, now the most annoying group there, the last 20%, 25%, I'm good at math. The last 25% was was guys who run guys. I think there was one girl, but it was mainly guys who run gyms, martial arts gyms back home. And so for them, this is serious because they need this. Like they're doing the fights. There are fights. You can train for fights. You have to pay $500 and then you get a fight at the end of the. So I could go back and I'd say, look, in 3 months I want to have a fight, and they're like, okay, give us $500, and I give them $500, and then for those 3 months they go find a Thai person that's your size, which is not easy for them, that is also willing to fight you, right? So it's because it's a big deal, right? A Muay Thai fight is not like boxing. Like you can get very hurt. It's kicks to the face, okay? And it's brutal. It's a hard sport. It's not easy. And they got to find someone that's willing to get in the ring with you, and also they need to find someone that won't murder you, because these people, a lot of these Thai people have been doing Muay Thai, like they grew up in these camps. So these fighters are fighters. They're like, I mean, they could kill you without even thinking. So they got to find someone that's willing to fight you, and then also not that good, maybe past their prime, or is willing to take a dive, or willing to like make it look like it was close. So you got to pay money for this, and and it's a big deal. So these guys have invested themselves financially. They put their egos on the line because they own a gym back home and they're gonna show off. And they are there to train. And they're like Spartans in the corner. And you're like, oh, oh, oh. Like it's scary. They're like yelling and like they're like, come on. And there's this great there's this cry. Like I guess someone told me each gym has their own cry. I don't really know. But the cry at our gym was Akma. 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 And so like these big, huge, these guys are way bigger than me, like 8-packs, they're ripped, they're jacked, they're strong. They've studied. These are the guys who once a year they go somewhere for 3 months, and they're like UFC fighters. These are like UFC fighters. They're training, and they're scary, and they're like Hakma, hoo, Hakma, and they're like every time they kick, they're like Hakma, and there's like you hear like the kick like sounds like it just brought down a tree, Hakma, and the comedian in me just really wants to make fun of them. But you can't because they're scary people. Oh, and then when they're not training, because I don't know why these people are like this. I don't know if it's part of there must be some sort of culture with UFC. These people really project quiet storm. Like when they're not in the ring, when they're not training, like outside, you hang out with them. At all times, they're like, quiet storm. Hello. And they're still, and they make a real big point of not moving a lot, which I don't know what that's about. I guess that's their zen. They're called, like, they're so used to using their body that when they go out, they're like, oh, I'm out. So I should, when I'm in the gym, I have my gym mode, and now I'm out. So I'll have my out mode, but it just makes them look like serial killing mannequins. Akma! It's like the worst. Oh man, I don't want to make fun of these people. It's like they're like really bad magicians, It's like they kick the bag. Hakma! The catchphrase fighting. All right. So I'm not gonna go back to that. I'm gonna go back to the island, which I'll tell you about the island next week because I'm getting tired. Thanks for checking in, Ben. Email me any questions. I don't know questions. Did I get a question? I got some complaints. I haven't gotten a question yet. Email ben@benbetterby.com. Yeah, if because I need something to talk about. So why not you? I'll read your emails. Whatever you write, I'll read them. I've got some old ones I'll read next week if I can remember. This has been Ben Betterby Presents. I guess that's how I'm gonna end it. This has been Ben Betterby Presents. Oh, let me know how the new mic sounds. Or let me know how this mic sounds. I've got another one. This is a USB mic that I bought. I bought secondhand. My other mic is a real mic that I plug into an audio interface. So maybe next week I'll use the other mic, and then you guys can let me know which mic you like better. I don't really know. I don't know anything about this, but I'm trying. You know what? I'm trying. Thanks, guys. This has been Betterby Presents. Goodbye. That's weird. Do I say goodbye? Bye. Bye. How about bye? Okay, hold on. This has been Betterby. Oh, let me do my radio voice. Hold on. I've been practicing my radio voice. Hold on. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Betterby Presents. No, that was like the radio, and that was like the announcer. I'm gonna do my. This has been Betterby Presents. Oh, that was kind of good. Ben. Oh man. Oh, what am I doing? Bye.